Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. Jiujitsu2000 here today. I'm back, and today I've got an interesting video for you. As you can see, I have two very popular lights in my hand. I have the Wowtac Model A6 on the left, and on the right I have the Olight Model S2R baton. I was asked to do a direct comparison of these two lights, and I'm here to do that. Now, one thing that I'm going to say is I am not getting paid by either of these companies to do this video. Both companies have sent me their respected models out for review. I've reviewed these lights. They're both excellent lights. I am not going to pick one winner over the other or say this one's better, or nothing like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out all the positives and all the negatives on both lights. And at the end of this video, you guys can draw your own conclusions based on the evidence that I'm going to share with you in this video. The price point of the Wowtac A6 is around $30. The price point of the Olight S2R baton is around $50. The Wowtac A6 uses a standard 18650 battery, which can be charged through the light here by removing this dust port and charging it using a micro USB cable. If you look at the Olight, there's nothing up here to protect as far as getting wet. It charges via the tail cap. This light uses a proprietary battery. It's an 18650, but it's proprietary if you want to use the tail cap to charge. If you find yourself in an emergency and you have a standard 18650 battery, you can put it in this light and it'll function. It'll work fine, but you will not be able to charge here. Another thing that makes this light unique is not only will it run on standard 18650 batteries, but you can also operate the light on dual CR123s. See, the light's working right now. But again, if you use that, you will lose the magnetic charging function. See, there I have dual CR123s in there. You can use rechargeables, RCR123s. That's actually what I have here. So the light will function just fine with standard batteries. The batteries that comes with these lights, here's the Olight battery. It's a proprietary 18650 running at 3200 milliamp hour. The battery that works on the Wowtac A6 is also an 18650, but this happens to be a standard 18650. It's a normal button top operating at 2600 milliamp hour. The higher the milliamp hour rating is, the more capacity the battery will hold, and therefore, in a nutshell, you'll get more runtime out of the light. Both of these lights have the same types of functionality. They both have a very low moonlight mode of half of a lumen. Now, if we talk about the Olight Model S2R, half a lumen moonlight mode will last for 60 days. That's 2 months of runtime out of this battery. Now, if we look at the Wowtac Model A6, it also has the exact same brightness level, half of a lumen. They call it a firefly mode, but listen to this, it'll last for 104 days. That's 3.46 months. And what amazes me is that they're getting way more runtime on that firefly setting with a lower capacity battery. That's just amazing to me. So they're gaining 1.46 months more of runtime on firefly mode. It's just crazy. If you turn on both lights, it's very similar. You just push and hold the button, and then you'll see firefly or moonlight, whichever you wish to call it. Okay, so looking at both lights, that is the lowest setting. It's pretty much identical. They're both coming in at half of a lumen. If you bump up the lights to low, the A6 is going to operate at 12 lumens, and it's going to last for 104 hours. 104 hours translates into 4.3 days of runtime. Now if you look at the S2R baton, the low setting is also 12 lumens. It lasts a little bit longer though. It'll last for 120 hours, so that's about 5 days of runtime on low. So you gain a little bit more runtime on low on this one here. Now if you bump them up to medium, they change in lumen levels. So the S2R on medium runs at 120 lumens, and it'll do that for 13 hours. Where the A6 on medium, it bumps up to 80 lumens, but because it's a little bit less lumens, you get more runtime. You get 16 hours at 80 lumens. Now when you bump these up to high, they're pretty close. The A6 on high operates at 400 lumens for 3.5 hours. That's a good setting. Now if you look at the S2R on high, it jumps up to 500 lumens, which lasts for 200 minutes, which is 3.3 hours. Now both of these lights have a turbo function where they will go at a burst of 2 minutes. They both operate for 2 minutes on turbo. And if we talk about the S2R on turbo, that's 1020 lumens for 2 minutes of runtime, and then it drops down to prevent overheating. It'll drop down to 500 lumens or high, and then from there it'll run for an additional 190 minutes. That's 3.16 hours, okay? And the step down, like I said, is 500 lumens step down. So once it steps, you're dealing with 500 lumens. Now let's talk about the A6 on turbo. Turbo is quite a bit brighter. It's 1460 lumens for 2 minutes, and then it steps down to 400 lumens, or its high. And from there, it'll last for 210 minutes or 3.5 hours. So you get a little bit less lumens, but a little bit more runtime. So I guess the big question comes to mind is, would you rather have a little bit brighter after the step down, or do you want it to be a little bit less but last longer? That's kind of what it comes down to here. Now both of these lights are impact resistant down to 1.5 meters. They're also both IPX8 waterproof down to 2 meters. Now I did mention before, we're dealing with the lesser capacity battery on the A6 and a little higher capacity battery on the S2R. Dimensions on the A6, we're going to say that it's 98.5 millimeters long, 26.5 millimeters at the head, and 23.5 millimeters at the body of the light. Now the Olight S2R is going to come in at 105 millimeters long, so it's a little bit longer than the A6. And the body and head of the light all comes in at 23 millimeters. So it's a little thinner, but a little bit longer than the A6. The weight on both of these guys with the battery included, the A6 comes in at 96 grams. The S2R comes in at 101.5 grams. So it's a little bit heavier of a light. Now this next couple categories that I want to talk about is very important, and that is the candela rating of the lights and the throw, the distance of throw that you'll get out of these lights. The candela rating out of the S2R baton is 5800 candela. Now the candela that comes out of the A6 is 7600 candela. So you get a brighter light. Okay, now the throw, the distance of throw, is 153 meters on the S2R and 174 meters out of the A6. Now you got to keep in mind that once they step down, all those measurements are based on turbo. Once they step down, the S2R is going to have a little bit more throw because again, it's going to be at 500 lumens versus 400 lumens. The ability to run standard 18650 batteries is very, very nice on the A6. You can also do that in the S2R in an emergency. The S2R has a very nice magnetic tail cap. You can see how strong that little magnet is. It really works good. So if you're going to be working on cars or something like that, or under the hood or emergency or something like that, you do have that magnetic tail cap. The A6 does not. It doesn't stick at all. I wish they would add that. I think that'd be a cool feature, and it would definitely make their light a lot better. The A6 has a battery indicator that will tell you kind of in real time what your battery is doing, as long as you're not in firefly mode. You have to be in low, medium, or high to get that blue illumination telling you that your battery's good. From there, it'll go straight to red, and it's telling you your battery's dying. Now, the S2R, on the other hand, it kind of does the same thing. It basically tells you once you're dying. It doesn't come up in real time. So the A6 kind of wins in that category. If you want something that's a little more real time, look at the S2R Baton 2, because that one will tell you an indicator in real time. It'll go from green, then it'll go to orange, and then it'll go to red, and then it'll go to flashing red. So in real time, you're constantly knowing what your runtime is going to be out of this light. Now, in all fairness, this light is $70, so you're talking more than double the price of this guy, and definitely more than the S2R. So that's why I didn't include this one in the discussion here, because its price point is too high compared to these guys. I have both of these lights on low. Right here on the left we have 12 lumens, and on the right we also have 12 lumens. Again, the one on the right 4.3 days, and the one on the left 5 days. Now we're bumping them up to medium, just to give you kind of an idea of what the light looks like. Now I did say that this one here is only 80 lumens, 16 hours of runtime, and the S2R is 120 lumens, and that's 13 hours of runtime. So that's medium. Let's bump them up to high. Low, medium, there's high. Now we're on high on both lights. We are dealing with 400 lumens here on the right for 3.5 hours, and 500 lumens on the left for 3.3 hours. But you can tell that there's not really that big of a difference. It's only 100 lumens. It's more the look of the light, the lens, what the light puts out. Okay. Now if I double click, we are on turbo on both lights. On the right we're at 1460 lumens, and on the left we're on 1020 lumens. Looks like the left is a little bit brighter, but the right has a little more flood. Look at that. When I bring the light up and down, you see that it just puts out a blanket of light. So even though it's more lumens, it doesn't really appear to be like significantly stronger, but it is a bigger pattern. Okay, now again, once they step down, low, medium, high, that's what we're going to be dealing with. Low, medium, high, that's what we're going to be dealing with after the step down. This type of light right here. Now this light, the A6, when it's on moonlight mode, I can push and hold the button until moonlight mode goes off, and I'll enter a lockout mode. Okay, so the light won't turn on in my pack. The S2R, let me turn that moonlight mode off. We'll push and hold till we get to moonlight mode, and then moonlight mode disappears. Look at that. It's telling me we're locked out. So both lights have a lockout function. To unlock it, I'm just going to push and hold till I get back to moonlight mode, and the same thing applies here. Push and hold till I get to moonlight mode. So both lights are back on moonlight mode. The S2R by Olight has a timed automatic shut off function. You can make the light shut off in 3 minutes or in 9 minutes. Now to do that, we're going to click once quickly and then push and hold, but it has to be quick. 1, 2, like that. You see that I got one flash of the light. That's acknowledging that I am on the 3-minute automatic shut-off mode. So the light will run for 3 minutes and then it'll shut itself off. Now if I repeat the cycle, you see I got 2 flashes. That's the 9-minute automatic shut-off function. So that's kind of a cool feature that the S2R has that the Wowtac A6 does not have. Now both lights are turned off right now. If I double click the Wowtac A6, I go straight to turbo. Same thing with the Olight. Double click, takes me straight to turbo. So both lights are very, very competitive with each other. I'm not going to sit here and say one light is better than the other because I really don't feel that way. I think that either light could completely do what I need it to do. They also both have a strobe function, and that is to triple click. Okay, so there is the strobe on the A6, and let me get the Olight going. Very disorienting. The A6 runs its strobe at 350 lumens for 7 hours, and the S2R baton runs its strobe at 500 lumens. So now from strobe, a single press turns both lights off. And then if we turn them on, they'll come back to the last mode accessed before turbo or strobe or even firefly. They both have a memory mode. If I'm using firefly mode or moonlight mode on the S2R and then I turn it off and I turn it back on, it remembers moonlight mode. The A6 does not. So right now I'm on firefly mode. When I turn it off and I turn it back on, it comes to low, medium, or high. It doesn't remember firefly. The S2R does remember firefly. See? Firefly, turn it off, turn it back on, right back to firefly. So that's kind of a cool function. The pocket clip on the S2R is a very deep carry. Okay, so you would have the lens facing up and it would be a nice deep carry. And I like that because it could also serve as a headlamp mount to a hat. Okay, so you can get that right on your hat and be shining the light and use the button. The A6 does not carry as deep, and there's only one orientation for the belt clip to go, and this thing is tight. It's very tight. Almost too tight to deal with. And you cannot change the battery tube orientation because it'll thread in, but the light won't work in that other orientation. So the ability to use the pocket clip as a headlamp is not something you can do with the A6. I think both of these lights are fantastic. I honestly believe that either choice you will be happy. I wish that Olight would get a little bit smaller and increase their runtime on moonlight mode up to something equivalent like the 104 days. And they have done that. They've done that with this model, the S30 Baton 3. This one has a half of a lumen moonlight mode that will last for 100 days. So it's an awesome light. On the Wowtac, some of the things that I wish they would do with this A6, I wish they would get rid of this charging on the light port in its entirety. I don't care for that. If you're going to advertise a light as an IPX8 waterproof light, I don't think that rating should be hinged on the fact of if this rubber's in place or not. You know, the Olights, you don't have to worry about that. They're IPX8 and you throw those things in water and they work. Another thing that I would recommend that Wowtac does to improve this light is make the battery tube threaded the same on each end so that you can orient this belt clip on either end. So you could wear it as a headlamp using the bill of your hat and lighten up this clip a little bit. That thing is tight, tight, tight. Add a magnet to the tail cap, and I think those 3 changes right there would make this light fabulous. If they could do all that and still keep the price point where it's at, they're going to be knocking people out of the competition. If they even bumped up, say they bumped the battery up to 2,800 or maybe 3,000, they would get better run times. And even if the price point went up to $40 and they did those few other things, it's still going to be cheaper than the S2R. And I think at that point it'd be a superior light. Folks, I want to say thank you for joining me today on this video comparing the S2R baton to the A6. I hope you got some good useful information out of this video. Please feel free to leave your comments down below, like this video, share this video, and as always, again, thanks for stopping by. I hope you have a beautiful day. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.